They exist in your periphery, the ones without Instagram, without X, without a digital shadow. You might have asked them why, and their answer, a shrug, a quiet, just not for me, never felt like the whole truth. We assume they're hiding, or judging, or missing out, but their absence from the feed is rarely simple avoidance. It is, more often, a quiet act of psychological self-preservation, a boundary drawn not against connection, but against a specific kind of noise. For them, the question isn't, what am I missing? It's, what is this doing to me? To understand that, we have to stop looking outward and turn inward, into the architecture of a mind that chooses silence over signal. Let's begin in the place they rarely show, the internal conflict that precedes every logout. Many non-users tried it. They downloaded the apps, curated the profiles, chased the likes. And then they noticed something they couldn't unfeel: the hollow ache after the dopamine spike, the way validation felt like hunger that eating only deepened. That ache is shame, the quiet voice that says, you're performing instead of living. For them, staying on social media began to feel like staying in a relationship that eroded their sense of self. So they left. But leaving didn't erase the shame. It just gave them space to examine it. And what they found when they looked closely was a biological truth that affects every human brain. Your brain is a prediction engine. It craves certainty, status, and belonging because for your ancestors, those things meant survival. Every like, every comment, every view triggers a microburst of dopamine, the molecule of motivation and reward. But dopamine isn't designed for constant, unpredictable rewards. It's designed for scarcity. When rewards become random and endless, the system breaks. The brain enters a state of wanting without ever being satisfied. This is the core of social media's psychological grip: variable ratio reinforcement, the same mechanism that makes a slot machine addictive. Non-users aren't immune to this wiring. They simply recognized that the game was rigged. Their brains still produce dopamine, they just choose to seek it from sources they can control. But there's more. The prefrontal cortex, the part that governs impulse control and long-term planning, gets fatigued by constant decision-making. Every time you scroll, you're making micro-decisions: engage or ignore, envy or dismiss, respond or lurk. Non-users protect their prefrontal cortex by eliminating the source of decision fatigue. They simplify their environment. This is not laziness or fear. It is a form of cognitive self-care rooted in how the nervous system regulates arousal. But to understand why this choice feels so radical, we must go back to the ancestral root of why we were wired to seek tribe. For 99% of human history, being excluded from the group meant death. Ostracism activated the same brain circuits as physical pain. Social media hijacked that ancient alarm system. It made us feel exiled from a tribe that wasn't even real. Non-users, often unconsciously, detect the mismatch. They realize that performing for a digital tribe does not fulfill the biological need for genuine belonging. Their childhoods may have taught them that attention is conditional, that love must be earned through performance. Social media becomes a painful echo of that dynamic, a stage where approval is never enough. Others grew up with secure attachment. They learned that they matter without having to prove it, and they carry that certainty offline. For both groups, the decision to step away is often a quiet reclamation of the self that existed before the platform demanded a version of them. This brings us to the pivot, the moment they realize that disconnection is not deprivation, it is freedom. Research shows that heavy social media use correlates with increased depression, anxiety, and loneliness, especially among adolescents. But here's the hopeful part. Those who quit report improvements in mood, sleep, and sense of agency within weeks. This is not about being anti-technology, it's about being pro-intentionality. Non-users often cultivate what psychologists call intrinsic motivation. They pursue activities because they are inherently satisfying, not for external reward. They become more attuned to their own internal signals, hunger, fatigue, curiosity, boredom, and they honor them. This attunement builds self-trust, and self-trust is the foundation of psychological resilience. So, what does their daily life look like? They read books that demand sustained attention, not quick dopamine. They have conversations that meander, that include silence, that don't need to be documented. They experience boredom, and boredom becomes a gateway to creativity, not anxiety. This is the path of integration, not rejecting the digital world, but deciding which parts of it serve your humanity. For many non-users, the ultimate realization is that their worth was never meant to be measured in likes, followers, or engagement rates. That worth is intrinsic. It does not fluctuate with an algorithm's favor. And when you stop broadcasting your life, you begin to actually live it, without a silent audience in your pocket. This is not to say they are immune to loneliness. They feel it too, but they meet it differently. Instead of numbing with a scroll, they sit with the feeling, ask what it needs, and often reach out to someone genuinely. In doing so, they rediscover something ancient, that connection is not a feed, it is a shared vulnerability. Their choice is not a judgment on those who use social media, it is simply a deep alignment with their own nervous system. And for anyone who has ever felt exhausted by the endless performance, their story offers a quiet invitation. You can step away, not because you are broken, but because you are whole enough to choose what feeds you. The brain that craves approval can be retrained. The nervous system that learned to fear missing out can learn to love presence. This is neuroplasticity in action, the ability to reshape your mind by changing your environment. And the first step is often the simplest. Ask yourself not what will I miss, but what will I gain? You might gain hours of uninterrupted attention, the ability to finish a thought, a deeper relationship with yourself. You might discover that the people that matter will find you, not through a DM, but through presence. In the end, the psychology of those who don't use social media is not a mystery, it is a mirror. It asks each of us, what are you performing for, and what would you become if you stopped? The quiet ones already know the answer. Now, perhaps, you do too.